Good afternoon, friends, and welcome. I'm Celeste, and this is Celeste Creates. This is not my normal floss tube video today. I'm calling this one QuiltyTube number 2. I had promised in my most recent floss tube video that as I pull out all my Christmas quilts to get ready to decorate for the holiday, that I would do a little show and tell of all the Christmas quilts that I have, that I've made for myself, and a few gifts. And this doesn't count any that I've made for anybody else, but so these are all my Christmas quilts, small mini quilts, quilted pillow covers, and then my full-size quilts or wall hangings. And so I wasn't quite sure how I was going to film this today, but here's my stack. I'm not sure, is it all the way? Here's my stack. I was pulling them out a few minutes ago and realized, wow, how do I have that many? But I do. It's obviously my favorite holiday to sew for, and it just gives me great joy every Christmas when I get to put these out. So let's get started, and I hope this works. I will also try and insert some photos throughout the video of the quilt full size so that you can see it all together. But I'm hoping that this way you can at least get a good enough picture of what my quilts look like. So let's get started with fun Christmas quilts. So the first quilt that I want to show you today is actually one of the very first quilts I ever made 18 years ago, as I was just getting started. It's really hard for me to look at it now as a quilter and think, oh my goodness, I can't believe that that is how I quilted. But I was just beginning, I was learning, and so this is still a real treasured mini quilt for me. Because it was one of the very first things I made. I had not learned how to free motion quilt, and it's just, it is what it is. But here it is, a mini quilt that I made with charm squares. I could not tell you what this fabric line was. I'll move in a little bit closer. But really cute. Got some little Christmas tree lights or ornaments and a candy cane stripe. This yellow polka dot, and so that was something I made very early on. So we're talking probably 2002, 2003. And I still love it. It goes on a chair or on my table. I laugh at my great big binding that I put on there, and of course my straight line quilting, which was actually one of the reasons that I learned how to do free motion quilting, is because I just really did not like doing the straight line quilting with a walking foot. So anyway, one of my very first quilts. It's even very imperfect here on the edges. But I had lots of fun, I'm sure, making it, and it's a fun memory. All right, next was probably another early quilt. This one, I couldn't tell you what this was in there, what fabric this was either, but I made this. This is with Charm Pack or Charm Packs. This was called, from, I think it's Miss Rosie's Quilt Company. This was what's called a schnibble quilt pattern. I love pinwheels, and I really loved this vintage fabric. You can kind of see a little bit closer here. It's got some really neat pieces with vintage looking ornaments. I really like that one. Had a lot of fun making that. It's got a snowflake type ornament looking fabric on the back, and this definitely has a smaller binding, and I had already learned how to free motion quilt because it's just quilted with a I call it kind of a jigsaw, just a meandering. So another small table topper or to lay over the back of a chair, and I still love that one. Sometimes this is how I'll lay things over the back of a chair, is I will grip a corner and kind of do like that, and that's how I tend to lay a small quilt over the back of a chair. This I made at most 5 years ago. I can link the pattern for this below if it's still out there, but this is an Applique Snowman, and he is done with felt, and the rest is all done with fabric. And I love snowmen, and so I made him, and I love how he's looking up at the star. A lot of really fun one. And here I think I have some a little more advanced free motion quilting, but I love that, and the big red polka dots, and how this looks like kind of a snowy sky, polka dots. That one. I made this one from a tutorial on Lori Holt's blog. I'll show you a quilt in a minute, and this one I made several years back from a tutorial that Lori Holt did on her blog, and I will show you the original quilt that goes with it that I made based on those. She used to do tutorials on her blog for how to make the blocks to a quilt, and you would follow along and make the blocks. And I think since then many of these blocks have been incorporated in her quilt book Vintage Christmas. So you can make this snowman block from there. But I made that cute little snowman, and I love that pink snowflake fabric. Again, I love snowmen. And this one I did, you can see my little snowflake quilting. And so there we go. Cute little buttons. He's a favorite. I believe I made this quilt last year. I have a very small gingerbread collection, and last year I kind of moved it to a new location, and thought, well, I need a gingerbread man quilt to go on my little quilt hanger, and so I made this from Lori Holt's Vintage Christmas book. It's a little gingerbread man. Put cute little rickrack and buttons. I don't remember who made this fabric, but I really loved it. Cute little vintage trees. Some of it had cookies on it. So I love using a red and white stripe. Oh, there's the back. The back has these little reindeer. To me it looked like little Christmas cookies, but I quilted that. So that's my gingerbread man. This I actually use as a pillow cover, so you can see on the back. It needs ironing, but I did an envelope, just a pillow finish. And this is actually an applique pattern that I drew, and I used to sell it. I probably could sell that now on my destash page if you're interested. Let me know. But I also have one. It has a pumpkin. You can put a pumpkin in the back, or you can put a tree in the back. And it's just the applique truck and the wheels, and cute little truck. I free motioned our name on there, did snowflakes, and that's a really fun Christmas pillow cover. So if you are interested in this applique pattern, super simple, do it with your preferred applique method, let me know, and I can make that available to you for $1 or $2, or so. Thank you. This is probably one of my favorite pillow covers that I made a couple years ago to go on a nice, great big pillow. I love these colors. They are just some of my favorites. So this house is in Lori Holt's first vintage, Farm Girl Vintage book. So I took that house and I gave it a Christmassy feel. Used some of that same cute fabric I was talking about for the roof and the chimney. Love that fabric that's in the windows. And then I cut and then just applique, fused those on. I cut out from striped fabric. Maybe that was a Bonnie and Camille fabric. I just cut those out and fused those on and then stitched around them when I did my quilting. the blue polka dot background, and then that border. So again, I just did polka dots on the back, an envelope finish somewhere. Yep, there it is. This goes on a great big pillow, and I just love that. One of my very favorites. Let's see. This is, sometimes I use this one as a table runner, and sometimes I use this as a pillow cover. I designed this for, I think it was Fort Worth Quilt Studio, Fort Worth Fabric Studio, I can't remember. But this was a little pattern I made, and it fits on a long pillow, or you can use it on a table. And so I wrote this pattern, and I think I did a tutorial on my blog that I had forever ago. I think I have it upside down. Yep, let me turn it over. Cute little, love this snowman fabric on the little sleds, little Christmas Scotties. And then over here, that real pastoral scene here, the wintry farm, and these Christmas bells. And I love doing a scrappy binding. So you can see here, got polka dots, got the green Christmas bells, more dots, got Scotties. I love to do a scrappy binding. That's really fun. So that's another small one, and here's yet another small one. So my house really truly is littered with quilts, and now the cross stitch is growing too. So this is, I will have to put a link to this block. I want to say it's like a ribbon candy block. You can see I used this particular fabric, that one with the cookies and the cute things on it, over and over again, but I loved it. Maybe this is called a ribbon candy star. If I can find the link for that, I'll put that below, because that was fun to make and really pretty. I just love the effect of the red and green going around the pink. And I quilted that myself. Maybe you can see the quilting a little better on the back. So that either hangs up or goes on a table or a buffet. Another small one. Love that. All right. I have other small ones, and these small ones are ones that were given to me as gifts. So this particular one, so I don't really know much about these, but I'll show them to you anyway. This was done in 2015 for a Christmas quilt swap. That's really pretty. Love the colors on that one. Such a pretty design. I love how you can see different things when you look at it different ways. So we got that one. This is a super cute pillow cover that my friend made for me. She put a tag on it with my name. This is a Lori Holt 6-inch block appliqued on there, and then this was Lori Holt's, it was called Cozy Christmas, her Cozy Christmas fabric line, and my friend made that for me. So that's a cute pillow cover that I put out. One of my best friends, Casey, made this snowman for me. Aqua background. She and I both love aqua. So she appliqued that on for me, and I just love that. So much fun. So thank you, Casey. This is a special gift from my friend Christy at Crosshatch Quilts. She embroidered on her machine this adorable snowman and bordered that with some cozy Christmas fabric, and you can see I am not hurting for snowman quilts. So I love this one. Thank you, Christy. It's a treasure. So special. And the last two little ones that I'll show you before I get into the last one, couple of little ones before I get into the bigger quilts, were made by my mother-in-law, and she made me this one, and I put this one out with our Advent wreath. So she did that embroidery on her fancy embroidery machine. I just think that's beautiful, and I love the purple. In the Catholic Church, as we prepare for Christmas and celebrate Advent, the color purple is the liturgical color, and so put this with our Advent wreath that we light every day, and actually that's beautiful. Now I think my mother-in-law made this quilt for us. I don't think she has a date on it, but this was probably very early on in our marriage. She made me this beautiful nativity. I love that. Probably is paper pieced now that I look at it. I'll have to ask her. So my mother-in-law made me this beautiful nativity, and I love putting that out as well. Last thing before we go on to the bigger quilts is something I designed many years ago. I was looking for a way, we do, especially as the kids have been little, we still do it. Even now that they're older, my family loves traditions. My kids have way too many traditions, and we just enjoy them all. But we do what we call a Jessie tree. So we have Jessie tree ornaments that we put on each day. And I also instituted one year a tradition of, I made these gold stars, and they have different names of Jesus on them, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And so each day we put on a Jessie tree ornament, and we put on one of the stars, and then I made this to hold the ornaments, and so it's kind of my quilted advent calendar. I put a hanger on it, but I don't hang it that way actually. I pin it to the wall. And this is really just a big quilt. There's the bottom. And it is got 7 rows, is that right? 7 rows of 4 on the quilt. So I actually made and quilted the red part, and then I sewed 28 pockets on here. And so our Jessie tree ornaments fit in the pockets, one a day. They take one out, and there's usually a coin or some chocolate in there for the person. So that's that. Here's some snowflakes on the back and a different snowflake on the front. All those pockets. How fun. So we hang that, and we use that every year. So I never wrote a pattern for this, but if anybody's ever interested, I could give you some measurements, and maybe you can figure it out. So, all right, let's get into the big quilts. And I think I have 9. Plus I have one more that I was hoping to make this year, so we'll be at around 10. I can't remember when I made this one exactly. I should be better about labeling my quilts. But this is the quilt that I was telling you about, that Lori Holt had done a blog post for each blog to show you how to make the each block for this Christmas quilt, and then she showed you how to lay it out. So she would show you how to make each block on the her blog, and this came before she started writing her books with It's So Emma. And this one hangs on my wall every year. I love it. You can see, very scrappy. This started my love of all things scrappy. And we made one block at a time. I don't remember which we started with, but there's the Christmas tree. And this was just made completely with everything I had in my fabric stash over here. Christmas tree. This is one of my favorites. That string of Christmas lights. I love it. There's a gingerbread man that ended up in her book. He's a 6-inch. The cocoa cup with the candy cane. A basket. Let's see. There's a basket and a present and a house, and I kind of fussy cut a Santa and a snowman. The windows. Let's see what else. Oh, love those are all crooked. My little bows. Love that row of wreaths, and then you made the little bows and sewed those on. Mittens. And a real cute log cabin block. Star. And an ornament. Little spools with Christmas trim. A candle. and a stocking. And you can see that all the blocks have a different background. Everything is totally scrappy. And then this border, I just pulled blues and greens and reds out of my stash and put those on there. I even did a scrappy backing on this one. We have some stripes, got some big Santas, and something else. and a scrappy binding. To me, that is so much fun to sew scrappy because I'm using the things that I have, the fabrics that I've chosen that are on my shelf that I love, and putting them into a quilt. And so I think, well, if these are all fabrics that I love on my shelf, then they're going to be something I'm going to love in a quilt. So this, I will put in pictures here of the full quilt so that you can see it in all its glory. Now the next two quilts, I am not sure which quilt I made first, which Christmas quilt, but one of these is the first Christmas larger quilt that I made. This one is not as much a favorite of mine anymore, but I still put it out. I think I don't love it as much because it ended up just being so white. And this one is going to be hard to see until I show you the picture. But this was made with charm packs. Oh boy, you're not going to be able to see that. And it is a giant pinwheel. Let me insert a picture of that right here. Okay, so you can see each part of that pinwheel is made with charm squares and from one fabric line. Pretty greens, these gray blues. It is beautiful. It's just not one of my favorites. And I did all white on the back. And I quilted it very densely, which is beautiful, especially on that white side. I like that. So that's all free motion quilting that I did on my own machine. It is possible, and I've taught myself over the years. So I love that one. Again, not a favorite, but it's part of my history, right? Here, I'll show this to you all folded up. I love folding my quilts, and they sit on a table in the hallway when they're not out and about. So either that one that I just showed you or this one was my first large quilt that I made. This was just a quilt that I found, a pattern in a magazine, and it has, I love it because you can see the big blocks show the patterns really well, and then it's divided up with those red polka dotted bands. And I don't remember how I pulled together these Christmas fabrics. This is probably right here one of my favorite all-time fabrics. I love that one. And so it's just big blocks of fabric. This is more challenging than you know. Big blocks of fabric with white and red and white polka dots. Really is beautiful. I love that. This is just done with a meandering free motion, and this one's white on the back as well, and a scrappy binding. And that's usually the way I roll for the most part, is a scrappy binding. I love it. Okay, next. This is just one that I designed, if you want to call it that. But I had found, I believe at Joann's, I had found this really cute print. And I loved the colors and the little scene on it. And so I just fussy cut big squares from that fabric. And all I did was go through my fabrics on my shelf, and I picked some coordinating fat quarters that I had, and I bordered each one with a different one. So we've got a fun kind of a red. This is a navy and white stripe. Polka dots. That green polka dot. I reused a couple of them put some white, and then I bordered it with some more of that fabric print. This one I just backed in white as well. But you can see how much fun is that. I just love that. Love the colors. Very simple, but that's a favorite. I love red and aqua for Christmas. Probably my favorite color combination for Christmas, if you can't tell. Yeah, pretty much a lot of my quilts have a combination of red and aqua. Maybe red and aqua and green, maybe red and aqua and pink. So big on the red aqua for Christmas. All right, this is a special quilt to me because my best friend Casey and I made this. We didn't make it together. We each made our own. And I will have to look up the name of this pattern. It's a this is a cotton wave pattern from Bonnie of Bonnie and Camille. And Casey and I picked our fat quarters from all the different reds and greens of Bonnie and Camille's fabrics that we could get at that time. And we made this quilt. She made one and I made one. And this is one of my favorite quilts. We even pinned them together. And so the stars are all red and greens, except for this one right here. It's a beautiful red, a solid red. I will definitely insert pictures. Love that quilt. Bonnie and Camille reds and greens and a white background. What did I back this with? Oh, I love this one. This was was a Joann's print several years ago, and it was super popular. It was really hard to find for a while there, but we snagged some yardage, and she and I both backed our quilts in this. So it's really fun to have that, to know that we both have a quilt that we share. We've done that before in my fall video. Here, I'll hold it up while I talk so you can look at it. In my fall video, there was a aqua background pumpkin quilt that she and I both made. We made that together. I'm trying to think if we made some other ones. Oh, we made a chamomile quilt together. We did like a little sew along together. And then at the beginning of the year, we have Bonnie and Camille's new Shine On fabric in a particular pattern. And Casey and I, and actually another friend too, are gonna be making the same quilt together. So that's just so much fun. Even if we can't be together doing it, we're working on it together, and we know that we share that memory of that quilt, and we have the same quilt. So that's pretty fun. I love that. One of my favorite vintage fabric designers is Urban Chiks by Moda, and I have made something out of probably most of their lines. I have their Sweet and Swell were their two like non-holiday lines that I really loved, and actually I did another quilt recently. I think I did that big churn dash out of their fabrics, I think. But they've put out 3 Christmas lines so far, and I think they're going to do a Halloween one this next year, and I'm super excited. I'm not big into Halloween, but I just love their fabrics. So they just have a real 50s vintage feel, which is probably my favorite. 40s, 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, vintage. So this was the first line that they put out, and I can't remember what the fabric was called. I'll have to look it up. But I bought charm packs of it. I arranged them on the diagonal on point, laid them out, sewed them together in rows, and made a quilt. Love it. I promise I'll insert pictures. But look at those fabrics. Look at that vintage Santa. These poinsettias are probably some of my favorite fabrics. Love it. Absolutely love it. And then you can see backed it with the pink poinsettia fabric, which I love. So that's their first line that they put out, the Santas. The next year they did a line with snowmen, with vintage snowmen. So of course I bought it. I bought a charm pack and a jelly roll last year, and I made, or maybe somebody gave me the charm pack, I can't remember. Casey, maybe you gave me the charm pack. So this one, yeah, I think I got the charm pack, and then I bought a jelly roll to go with it. So this is all vintage snowmen. Look how cute. I love that. So honestly, super easy. Charm square, bordered with the jelly roll. Can you tell these are my favorite Christmas colors? Reds and aquas and pinks and greens. They did a smaller version of the poinsettias. Of course, my favorite are my snowmen. Look at those candy canes and the little candies. Those are just so much fun. I love it. So this was last year's release. And I backed that in a red and white polka dot. Quilted that with big circles. This, I only bought a charm pack this year. Oh, I hope I'm not going to regret it. I'll make something small. And this is this year's. That's right side up. This is this year's line that Urban Chiks put out called Dear Christmas. And this one has all the vintage, has the vintage reindeer on it. Oh, cute. Look at the lights. Look at the one with the lights. What else in here? Oh, the vintage jingle bells, sleigh bells. I love that. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I probably ought to get busy and make something with that. This is a good one if you're ever looking, look on Moda Bake Shop for a great free tutorials for using pre-cuts. I'll link that below, but it's called Moda Bake Shop and full of, I think I may have done one or two, or maybe I was out, anyway. I don't even remember, but there's neat tutorials for free using pre-cuts, charm packs, layer cakes, jelly rolls, and I've made several quilts off of Moda Bake Shop. So maybe I'll go search for something free, free pattern from there, or I probably have one in my giant pattern binder of patterns. Let's see. I think I have 2 more to go. This was so much fun, and this is another, you know, I love everything Lori Holt does, and so I'm a real fangirl. Love Lori. Lori, hi, I love you. So she did this quilt along 2 years ago, using her Christmas So Simple shapes, and we made a block every week or so. And this is using her Cozy Christmas fabric. This is the applique that friend made me the pillow with. So you can see a bell and a house and a wreath. Here's a snowman, tree, and a stocking. Goodness, holly. I'm going to turn it. Oh, I love, this is one of my favorites. Oh, I love the reindeer. So these are all appliqued using her method of applique, which is so easy, and I love it, using sew-in interfacing and flipping the shapes, and you can either hand applique or machine applique, and I choose to machine applique when I do them. So I've done several of her applique quilts. I love the cocoa cup with the marshmallows. Oh, there's another gingerbread. I forget what's down here. Candy canes. And then you bordered each block, the flying geese and half square triangles. And then I chose this red. And then this was probably my favorite fabric out of that fabric line, was this blue print. And you can kind of see some of the quilting I did on it. Probably better in the light. Some swirls, meanders, and that's an upside down wreath. I'm sorry, people. Let's see. I did little circles in the red border. And let's see what's on the back. I always forget what I do. Oh yeah, that's fun. So this one is a scrappy back, which is always fun. I will insert a picture, never fear. Fun. And I did a scrappy binding out of all the different little stripes from that fabric line. So really fun. I love the snowman. I just have a thing for snowmen. So super favorite. I love it. And last but not least, this is going to be another one that's going to be really hard to see here in camera, but you'll get a good glimpse of it. This is, I call this my Christmas in Summer, because this is technically Camille from Thimble Blossoms pattern. This is her Summerville pattern. I think she has done a house medallion house quilt pattern for each season, and I didn't love the Winterville as much as I love the Summerville houses, so I just did Christmas in Summer. So you can see a few of the houses. And there's the houses. I love them. Aren't they fun? Some of these fabrics, is this Vintage Christmas? Is their fabric line. I'm gonna put these stars, this border, then the middle. Again, this is gonna be really hard to see, people. I'm sorry. The middle is a great big star bordered by these 9-patch. I love that. And this one I totally did scrappy on the back, and a pink and red candy cane binding. But I love these houses. Aren't they fun? Let me get that up where you can see it. Get that one. So I will insert a picture of this one altogether. So I think those are all my Christmas quilts I've made. And then I think I was talking about this one in a recent Floss Tube video. I was talking about this one in a recent Floss Tube, and hopefully I can get that done this year. It's only November, right? But this beautiful fig tree fabric, this is going to be a red and white quilt. Simple, gorgeous, should go together pretty quickly, so I'm excited about that one. Maybe I'll get some. As I put these other Christmas quilts out, I'll want to work on this one, so that would be a lot of fun. So in closing, I will show you a picture of my mess on the floor, and then maybe when I give you a small short Christmas home tour after our house is decorated, you can see where all my quilts ended up. But I am so thankful that you joined me today, and before we go, I want to do a little giveaway. So if you've made it to the end of my QuiltyTube video, I'd like to let you enter to win a giveaway. This is a beautiful applique quilt pattern that I bought. I made this tree for my mother-in-law several years ago, and it is such a beautiful pattern. It is by Cherry Blossoms Quilting Studio, and it's called Feathered Christmas. And again, you could hand applique. No, I didn't. I would have done Lori Holt's method of applique, and I would have machine appliqued it. So really, on the whole, that's very easy. But if you would like to be entered to win this quilt pattern, I would love for you to use the word tree and tell me which quilt that you saw was your favorite. And of course, if you have any questions, ask me a question. I will try and link as many things as I can below, by the time I get this uploaded. So if you want to enter the giveaway, leave a comment with the word tree and let me know which quilt you loved best. And until I see you in about a week for a regular scheduled floss tube, then I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. I pray you have a blessed holiday and that you enjoy your Christmas decorating whenever you do it, and may it bring you great joy. And bless you, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye.